All right, look who it is. It's time now to take a look at the week's stories that impact branding and brands. Branding expert, host of the Chatter That Matters podcast, Tony Chapman, joining us live. Great to see you, Tony.
Wonderful to see you. Everybody's wide awake after that great game.
Well, you know, several coffees in, we're feeling pretty wide awake. And we're running, it's adrenaline and caffeine. That's the combination right now, Tony. But it's interesting that you're here today because an ad is making news, depending on which side of the border you're on, for the right or wrong reasons. We're talking about the Doug Ford Ontario government ad using Ronald Reagan, his opposition to tariffs that has, terminated trade talks. But what is your assessment now on this ad? Because the Ford government's saying, hey, it's done its job in a way.
You know, it's an interesting thing if you're going to go poke a bear, which is what they did, and that bear happens to be Donald Trump, I wouldn't have advised doing that ad.
Yeah.
First of all, we're not unified. But Ford's doing something, Ebby's doing something, Carney's doing something. We're not a country. We're getting picked off the branches, and this is just a great example. I don't think it's the Premier of Ontario's job to position this to the United States. I think it should be Team Canada. If Team Canada thought it was the right strategy, I might go along with it, but I'm really not a fan of Ontario doing this lone wolf stuff. Really not.
Yeah, and now it's kind of put us in this precarious position.
Who are we negotiating with? Can I get your oil from Alberta, your rare minerals from Ontario? I don't need anything out east. Maybe a port out west. I mean, that's not how you negotiate. You negotiate as a unified country. And I think it's time we really start acting that way, because that's the only cards we can play. If not, we're just low-hanging fruit for what America really wants from us. And it's not our manufacturing prowess. Our productivity's not great. It's our natural resources.
Our goods,
Yeah, Ford kind of went after Trump's ego, and you don't do that with a president like that.
And again, he's said impressions of these politicians. How many people could watch this video and why they really liked it and stuff? And is that the role of a policymaker in this country? Maybe that's what it's become. Snackable content on social media is your resume. But again, I'd love to see a unified strategy and a unified narrative.
Okay, well, our country is certainly unified right now. All cheering for the Blue Jays, who will play the World Series Game 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you, Tony.
Stop Tony from ranting. Move on.
That's what we just heard. I'm kidding.
It's so exciting. And, this is kind of like the feeling I'm getting watching these Blue Jays game. It's like our little Canadian Super Bowl here. Because you see these ads running, and I've already got earworms from some of them. I can't stop singing, raise a little hell, raise a little hell, raise a little home hardware. I mean, we've got so many ads, even by, Rogers putting out this Canada's Team Baseball ad. So these ratings and what does it mean for the companies that have these commercial ads and campaigns right now? They can really capitalize right now, can't they?
They can, because you're captive. And that's where marketing was at its most golden days, is when you ran home on Thursday night to watch Seinfeld, because if you missed it, you weren't culturally relevant the next day. And the same thing with baseball. It's the last bastion of live eyeballs. And if you can have your ad out there and it's making impressions. But there's also been some very creative things going on around baseball. It says I might not have to spend the millions of dollars, but I still can get attention.
Well, it's interesting because I have to say, quite frankly, I had this realization the other day that I haven't watched as many ads lately that I have since the last basically month of watching all the ball games, because, quite frankly, like you said, we have to come in and do our job. And my wife said to me last night, why are you still up? I said, this is my job. If I don't know what happened in the baseball game last night, I can't carry the 4-hour show the next day, the conversations we're going to have. So you've got to watch it to be relevant.
Yeah, but she wants to know why you had to do it at a pub.
No, trust me, I didn't do that. I would have loved to.
The ad we just saw, I don't know if you saw it, the TD one was so clever, because I didn't know they were the official bank. I know Scotia's attached to hockey. I know RBC's attached to golf, but kind of baseball. I wasn't really a fan. So them putting their billboards out how many feet from home plate and now just taking it to LA is kind of fun. And I don't know if you saw the Colonel Sanders one.
Oh, yeah, we did see that.
Did you guys talk about that?
Not yet, no.
So let me just tell you, I'm very into stories and storytelling. Just put a session on this week on stories. And what a thing. This 30 years ago, the Tigers in Japan won their equivalent of the World Series. They took a statue of Colonel Sanders and they threw it in the water. And they haven't won since, and they call it the Curse of Colonel Sanders. So that's the first storyline. And then the second storyline is people at Colonel Sanders going, that's a lot of money to advertise the baseball game. But we've got a storyteller in our own, Colonel Sanders. We'll put him at home plate. What do they pay? 10 grand for the seat? Who cares?
And
we're going to put him there. And next thing you know,
everyone's talking about it.
And that, to me, is clever marketing. This is where marketing shines, is when you look at what's happening and saying, how can I insert myself in an unexpected way, making people smile and happy? And guess what? You might be thinking about having a bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because the ethics of it, right? Because Mary Brown's chicken is kind of there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I know, but it's
it's still
great.
It works.
So speaking of marketing, I put on my marketing hat the other day, Tony, and I sent the sort of creative spot that I came up with for one of my wife's clients here. You kind of liked it, so we're going to talk about it this morning.
I hope you guys
watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, that's fantastic Photoshop because what an athlete you look like. But you know what I really loved about it is this is again part of the world is that you can create your own content now.
Yeah.
This is really clever. Fielding wine, baseball, touching the Blue Jays. Everything that goes with it is really a fun way. And I looked and I saw it on Instagram. I wrote back and I said, this is great work. You know, people are going to laugh and smile about it, and a brand I wouldn't necessarily think about. Now I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And that's all marketing is. It's just be part of the stories that are happening all around us. You know, if that was ball hockey, I'd go, what are you doing right now? But the fact that you caught right at the moment.
That was literally the baseball diamond at the end of the street. I borrowed my neighbor's glove because I couldn't find mine, and we just went out and shot
hitting.
15.
You're batting.
That was
you didn't
me
need a glove.
Yeah, no. Well, that was my hand in the glove too. It was like
you did everything.
It was a sequence of shots. Yeah, the whole thing was the whole thing was like put together.
Did you direct and everything else?
I basically storyboarded it. Funnily enough, it all struck me as I was going for my Friday afternoon nap last week.
Yeah.
And I woke up, I'm like, oh, I just remembered. And we just literally ran down to the
baseball.
But you know,
this is, and I know we haven't got much time left, but this is a message for everybody out there. Put your brand out. Have some fun with it. You've got great creative tools, Canva, Apple, iPhone, whatever. Put stuff out like that. Every once in a while, in worst case, people are going to be happy.
Right, yeah.
And I thought it was fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that.
Congratulations to your son. We don't have time talking about that, but my God, world champion.
U.S. Nationals. He's going to U.S. Nationals.
Well, okay.
So,
how old is the guy?
He's 12. Yeah. So,
that's
thank you,
pretty
Tony.
cool.
Appreciate that.